Hello everyone, welcome to Vinoo Anime. Today, we will talk about Garou, one of the most impressive characters in One Punch Man. If this is a topic that you are really interested in, okay, now let's get started.
Okay, I'm Vagabond from Vinoo Anime, and today I'm back to simp for another character. This time I'm going to praise Garou and his interesting character building. One sure as hell knows how to design characters with impressive attributes, and Murata really knows anti-villains to portray them elegantly. Hear me out, Garou has super potential as an anti-hero, and we all know it. Some of you might even like him, don't you? To begin, let me explain our psychology in being attracted by unconventional characters with flaws and even sins. Those characters aren't necessarily villains, but can be some protagonists whose character buildings differ from the stereotypes, which are Byronic heroes or antiheroes. We will focus on Garou if he's an antihero, since the information the series has provided the audience is enough to let us see through Garou's perspective and sympathize with him as we watch his short yet memorable journey. I believe most people are moral relativists. While there might be some absolute morals that have been developed from evolution to preserve the fundamental and biological benefits of species, for example kin selection and altruism, higher cognitive functions let humans explore more complex aspects of certain happenings to judge for things in accordance to those specific circumstances. As a result, most humans tend to have flexible morality. Each of our moral standards are shaped from our surroundings, such as families, societies, and cultures. Humans are social creatures. We alter ourselves to adapt to our environments. We do what we please while trying to keep it fair and harmless to others. However, this is not the case for antiheroes, whose personalities can be quite antisocial. One and his supreme imagination provides us a really dope example of a character with gray morality. Although being a side character, his character building really makes a good contrast to Saitama's character building, especially in the attitudes they have towards their goals. That is, I do my things because I like it. To summarize, while both of them have their past lives being pushed around by others and want to get stronger to compensate those days, Saitama is a carefree man who is aspired to be a hero and has exceeded his limit, while Garou is inspired to be a villain and is still learning how to break his limit. They also differ in terms of emotion, where Saitama is pretty emotionally deficit while Garou has too many intense feelings that hyped up his fighting spirit. We're not going to talk further into the subject today since this video will be Garou-centric. Now, let's begin.
The point is, no matter how ridiculous, immature, and violent Garou is, it's pretty enjoyable to be him because he gets to do what he wants without feeling restrained from peer pressure. Furthermore, he seems to influence others more than get influenced by them.
Heck, Garou as a kid wasn't even that bad. Initially, he's very average and no oddity. For real though, let's just admit that life makes him a dick. It should be said that he partly is a monster made by conditional environments, being a victim before being a perpetrator. The worst thing about the current Garou is that he might haven't reflected throughout the ambition he has been having since childhood yet. Well, in a way, everyone is similar to Ivan Pavlov's dog. I believe if Garou has a better experience with heroes, he could have at least avoided a hell of a lot of troubles and contributed many good deeds to societies. When I say Garou seems antisocial, it's because he refused to be belonged to any organization. It can't be said that he enjoys loneliness, more likely that he enjoys the freedom of being excluded from social standards and community influences. The only proper community he has joined was Bang's dojo, although it was mostly for pragmatic purposes of learning martial arts. Despite being thrown out, the way Bang treats him later when they face again tells us that there was at least a time when Garou was still a student Bang appreciated. It shows that Garou can be lovable and connects to other people. Unfortunately, he dislikes being grouped with any particular side. Both Yoro from the Monster Organization and Darkshine from the Hero Association provoked him into battles when they said he could have joined them and improved himself to a higher level position. It's weird since, in a way, those can be considered compliments, yet Garou viewed them as enticements to him.
In Vagabond's opinion, changing oneself for the better seemed to be the reason why he tries so hard all the time. If it wasn't for his ambition, Garou couldn't have spent a normal life quietly. Also, his motivation to be strong is simplistic and straightforward with few complications.
Shortly describing, Garou wants victory for the ones who are hated, in this case, villains. In his own words, the popular will win, the hated will lose. It's such a tragedy. Then I won't lose to anyone. I will become the strongest ever and change the scenario. We need to begin with his perspective as a child. Children are simple. They do what they like without thinking. We got to know he empathized more for the antagonists in TV series as a child for quite vague reasons. Perhaps he found them misunderstood by the public, or he felt sorry for how life pushed them towards the villainous paths. From this piece of information, it's proof that Garou was actually compassionate to others' tragedies. When he watched superhero movies back then, Garou said he felt sorry for the villains without considering he might get bullied for having his empathy directed at characters that are antagonized. The other children picked on him for this, bullied and used soft power to force him to play antagonist roles without considering that his feelings for the villains were reasonable. As has been told, since Garou was bullied a lot, he developed a disdain for popular protagonists, who are liked by the public as a result of frequent exposure to discrimination. It could be said that Garou chose to walk on the path of self-fulfilling prophecy. He viewed mainstream heroes as his targets who hunt without mercy, because the image of Tachin, his old enemy as a child, reflects in the heroes. As a side note, Garou avoids fighting with ordinary citizens and even helps them if he has time. In fact, he doesn't even plan to kill any humans. He just likes to beat up specific ones who are heroes. You know, for fun.
In other words, Vagabond supposes that Garou hatred is specific and direct. He tends to evade relationship and pushes people away, so he can focus on his own goals which are quite brutal in nature.
Interestingly, Garou has some weak spots for certain people that make him appear to be quite warm-hearted. Those are the weak ones and children. There was a time where Garou let Metalbat go because Metalbat's younger sister, Zenko, stepped in and shielded her brother. It's possible that since children are amongst the most vulnerable beings and he understands perfectly his weakness as a child, Garou has a tendency to bias children over adults. The way he helps Tadeo again and again sort of portrays that good side he has. On the other hand, this goodness of him is limited to those whom he gets to know and feel sorry for. Moreover, his most likable characteristics of helping those who are harassed make him look strongly empathetic. Despite his cold and aloof mien, deep inside, Garou has shreds of humanity to feel for those who go through similar difficulties as him. It could be said that they remind him of himself, of why he decided to walk on this path. However, the way he tells people to improve themselves is a sign that he wishes for the weak to one day reach their own strengths, like when he told Tadeo to fight for his own sake because he wouldn't help the child repeatedly, although he had done that before. In addition, it seems like Garou doesn't think much of how problematic his future can be if he performs certain actions. Garou acts immediately as he wants, and tends to try adapting to any situation he gets involved. It's maybe because he's young and reckless, or maybe he just enjoys the thrills of causing shenanigans to see what happens next. Whatever the reason is, Garou's and his cockroach-like determination has never failed to amuse me. It should be highlighted that Garou has his own moral codes and practices them strictly. He's not a moral nihilist, he has unambiguous attitudes and judgments to the things he sees. For example, Garou hates richlings who uses their statuses as investors of hero association for their own selfish glamours, abhors those who pose threats on others, despises being dragged or forced into any group and tied to any label. It can be said that Garou perceives himself as a man with free will who only lives for what he's pleased doing, and he doesn't even need to think too much about that tendency to complicate himself.
Another reason why Vagabond like Garou is because he makes a hell lot of mistakes and even goes further step for accepting and do not defy or excusing himself for what he has committed, or not yet.
Usually we don't root for the villains or antiheroes because they're bad humans. We root for them because they make mistakes, possibly with acceptance and willingness to remain the mistakes too. In fact, some of them don't even think they made mistakes at all, but rather perform twisted justice, fairness, or equality. In their minds, it's either they're always right, or it doesn't matter whether they're right or wrong. In the case of Garou, he just does what he likes to reverse the scenario. Furthermore, he doesn't do it mindlessly, but with quickly made plans and meticulous observations. For example, even though he prefers taking a monster role, most of the knowledge he gains about battling is about heroes and their powers, so he can develop strategies to fight them. Garou fights by the name of a monster while being a human, yet never wishes to become a monster himself. He fights for the monster within him, the one that encourages him to get more powerful. Seriously, this is a sign of utmost self-confidence. Not everyone needs a status given by others, and Garou prefers to label himself as he pleases. Intrinsic motivations are the most independent motivations, as they don't need approval from anyone else. People like Garou have pride within themselves and walk their paths with their heads high. Since Garou isn't an anti-hero in One Punch Man, his role is qualified as an anti-villain and is a very decently built one. Apart from sympathizing with the villains, Garou is aware that only the ones with legitimate reasons are worth sympathy and still beats the fuck out of anyone who posts threats unreasonably, no matter the person is a monster or human. I think he's pretty fair in his dislike of immoral individuals.
That's all, guys. Vagabond said, I don't think I can mention all the cool moments Garou has on screen within one video, so we're gonna stop here with a short applause to the amazing character. Currently, I'm waiting for the battle between Saitama and Garou drawn by Murata Yusuke. When it's released, we will have a good time comparing those two. Now, thank you all for watching this video of Vinoo Anime. Have a good day and we will see you next time.